Welcome to the DL, the podcast show that talks about everything to do with truck repair and diagnostics for the heavy truck and construction industry. I am your host, Tyler Robertson, CEO and founder of Diesel Laptops. Welcome to the DL. I am your host, Tyler Robertson, also the CEO and founder of Diesel Laptops. And today I have a very special guest with us here at our headquarters in Irmo, South Carolina. I have John Gilley. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tyler.
So before I even get started, I think it's important to let everyone know you are something of a celebrity on LinkedIn, right? Like you got a pretty big following on there. You've been on there for a while.
Second only to you.
No, not even close. So, I was asking you earlier, before we started the thing, I think you're up to, 25,000 followers, 26,000. It's a big number out there, right?
Yeah, it's I would say it's a big number, but I think more importantly, it's really focused on the transportation business. I was very disciplined early on to only accept invites from people that could add value to TTT, to better manage my time and also not to, convolute up the messaging.
So, you've been on there for a while, like maybe even pre-Microsoft days we were talking earlier.
Yeah,
it's been a while since you've been on there.
Yeah, probably 2008, 2010.
Yeah, that's crazy. So how did you go from 0 to 25,000 plus? Like how did that happen?
I think it was I remember the most difficult was going from 0 to 500, right? Everyone wants that magic 500 because then it kind of blinds you, or it doesn't it's like a magical number for most people. But I will tell you, it was probably dormant at right around 2,000, 3,000 people or contacts until I started Truck Tractor Trailer. And then after TTT, then I became more focused on the community, and I knew the importance of growing the base and expanding. Plus, the industry is so big, right? Yep. So it went from 2,000 to 5,000 to 10,000. And now you and I were speaking earlier about something magical happens over 10,000. The incoming invites grows exponential, and not just U.S. based or North America, but globally.
Yeah. So, I have, 7,500 to 8,000 or so on there. And I get the same thing you probably get. A lot of people, I probably right now, there's probably 200 pending invites with me because you get everybody from every country and every walk of life that's trying to connect. So it did take me a little bit of time to realize there's a cap on there that LinkedIn really gives you to connect with people. Yeah. And if you have the wrong audience that's connecting with you, that's not going to help your goals either on there.
No. And I will tell you, I know this isn't a promotion for LinkedIn or a commercial for LinkedIn, because we could do the same for Twitter, right?
Yeah.
So my magic metric is mutuals, so mutual connections. So if someone links in with me or requests an invite or me to accept their invitation, I look at the mutuals. And so you let the algorithm do the work for you or for me as far as selection. So if someone, I will tell you at this day and age where I'm at, if someone doesn't reach out, if they don't have over, let's say, 200, 300 mutual connections, I'm probably not going to accept the invite because I realize that the person is likely not a connector or influential in the market, in the transportation market, trucking market.
So the only reason I bring up LinkedIn here is because that's how we met. Yeah. I would have never met you, and I could probably go down the list and name a bunch of very important strategic partners to Diesel Laptops that only happened because of that platform. Yeah. Have you seen similar results from LinkedIn?
No doubt. But I will remind you that I met you at a trade show.
That is true.
I think it was the work truck show in Indianapolis. Yeah. And I'll share with the audience that you were in a 10 by 10 booth, and it was you and a couple of folks, and it wasn't like it was today. And that wasn't 10 years ago. That was 4 or 5 years ago, right? Yep. So you've had this fantastic catapult-like growth, and I'm so impressed. But yeah, I would say back to LinkedIn, it's been a terrific platform for us.
Yeah, it's an absolute, you don't have to pay. I pay for the premium membership, but we're not doing ads on there. I'm never on there trying to sell my product. Yeah. But it's a great platform to get your message out and network with people. It's like, I always tell people, It is the world's largest and best business networking platform that's ever existed, that anyone's ever seen.
I'll agree with you, but I also look at it, the big three. We call it the big three. You got LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. We find that a lot of your owner-operators and small fleet owners are on Facebook, and they belong to groups. And there's probably 20 or so meaningful groups that have a decent-sized community, and this level of conversation from owner-operator, driver to driver to small fleet operator, that is really interesting. So you'll learn a lot about our business just going into these, just observing these groups. I would say then Twitter is probably reserved for the business-to-business selling. I am a daily user of Twitter as much now as I am with LinkedIn. Although my population, my community is much smaller, I learn. Yep. It's a great place to learn from. LinkedIn is reserved for, I think, the decision makers and people of influence.
Yep. 100% agree. So today's the first day we've ever met in person, really, besides that chance meeting years ago at a trade show, right? Yeah. So we had some conference calls and everything, and I was glad to finally get you here so you could tour our facility. Yeah. We just moved in here. It's an older building. I think we did a good job putting some lipstick on a pig over here, making it look good. What was your impression walking around the place and meeting the people and seeing what we got cooking in the kitchen?
Well, So since we had a virtual relationship, I didn't know you physically, right? So my first impression was when I first drove onto the property this morning, I was so impressed by the size and scope of the property, and also the branding. I know the Diesel Laptop brand is important to you. You spend a lot of time building it. It's recognizable. It's a trusted brand, and I think, and especially in an early stage company, which you are. With a lot of roadway to go, it's so important to establish your brand. And you get that as soon as you pull up, even from the street, you see this beautiful building, the parking lot, the trucks, that are properly branded.
Cool. Yeah. Really appreciate it. But let's talk a little bit about you.
Yeah.
Because you've started a new venture the last couple of years called trucktractortrailer.com, or we'll call it Triple T, TTT. TTT.
Yeah,
all right.
You're not allowed to say Triple T.
Okay. Yeah. My bad there. So why don't you go ahead and tell everyone a little bit about what you're doing with trucktractortrailer.com and what the vision is here.
Yeah. So trucktractortrailer.com is a platform. It's a two-sided marketplace for used trucks, tractors, and trailers, commercial space, business to business. And we started it. The idea came in probably late 2016. Like most ventures, it takes a long time to decide, hey, is this big enough? Is it exciting enough? Is it can we win at it? And is it winnable by us, right, the group? And it took about a year of research, and we decided that, here's a market opportunity. We've identified a couple of different problems that we could solve, and really not change the game, but change the way the game is played. And I think we've absolutely done that in the market.
So I don't remember the exact moment in time where I'm like, I'm going to start Diesel Laptops and do this thing. Do you remember that pivotal moment at all in your career, how this whole thing happened, where you're like, man, I'm going to go do this thing, or I have this idea that just popped in my head?
Yeah. So it was at a meeting actually at Salesforce.com in New York City, not in Silicon Valley. And they have a big tower in New York. And I was taking a meeting there, and one of the people we were in the meeting with had a stack of truck paper magazines. And no knock on truck paper, but the idea came from a conversation that the individual was having about them having a difficult time buying and selling trucks. And we looked at the stack of magazines and said, well, geez, those magazines are 3 months old. Yep. That business is probably in the cloud. I didn't know what the solutions were at that time. Yep. And sure enough, I made a couple of calls on the way out to some of my buddies that were, big fleet owners and operators. And sure enough, they didn't really know at that time of any online solutions for trucks, tractors, and trailers. And so we said, hey, it took about a year of research to pull it together. And then after we decided to do it, we raised money. We built a team, found a developer, which is really important. As you know, we met a lot of your developers here. We're launching, and it's exciting.
So kind of the unique thing here is when a lot of people decide, hey, you've never been an entrepreneur before this, right? Maybe a little bit here and there, right? But you're working for other people for the most part. and you're not in your 20s anymore, right?
Yeah.
So, how has that been? You're a bit later stage, and people think entrepreneurs now. I think they're watching, Shark Tank or Silicon Valley or watching some TV reality show, and they see these 20-year-olds out there, starting these companies up. But you're not that, right? So it's a little bit different than I think what people are used to.
Yeah, I think it is. But then again, I think your likelihood of success is greater longer term. What I have to do as a seasoned veteran entrepreneur is to identify my strengths and weaknesses, and then surround myself with people that can fill the gaps and voids. I'm not a coder, yet here I am, a tech entrepreneur. And most tech entrepreneurs are coders first, developers, and then they sell their idea to someone that finances their idea. We started this a little bit differently. I was an operator. So I'm not a born entrepreneur, but I spent the majority of my corporate career at Aramark, and then later did a series of one-offs for private equity groups, either as an investor myself or for other ventures. But at Aramark, although we weren't entrepreneurs, we considered ourselves intrapreneurs. So we had our own P&Ls. We ran our own business. We ran, and I was in the uniform business where we had our own routes. So I had exposure to drivers and route trucks and routing and asset management. So I guess I was introduced to transportation at a very early stage of my career.
Yeah. So even me, I quit my full-time job when I was 36 to do this thing at Diesel Laptops. And we're 5 years into it now, right? So I'm 41. And man, there was a lot I didn't know at 36. I can only imagine when I hit 45, 50, how much I realized I didn't know here at 41, right?
So, well, I at 41 I thought I knew everything, and now I realize I know nothing, right? So, and we're better off for it.
Yeah. So the approach you made was a little bit different than us. I kind of started small and built a little bit and added on and did those things. And your mentality's approach has been a little bit different. I will say you have done a marvelous job at networking and finding the right people to help get your vision across.
Thanks. We have 4 pillars to the business. Pillar 1 is people. And if we have the right people on the team, and not just the core team, but the extension of the core team, our service providers, our stack partners, which I like to talk about, you can solve any problem as long as you have the right people. Our second pillar is product, because you have to have a product to sell, bring to market. Third is revenue and sales and marketing, which we're focused on now, is monetizing the product, right? And fourth, we talked about the importance of the fourth pillar, which is a very strong base of finance, legal, and administration. So we feel like we have this framework in place, but where I thought you were going with this is that we built TTT to be big right from the start. We didn't build this to be, let's build it small and grow it. We built it to be big, actually to tuck into something far greater than we are now. We truly believe long-term vision is that TTT belongs and tucked in, bolted on to some other bigger company.
So one of the things I forgot to mention when we started this whole thing is this is really like part 1 of a bunch of a series that we hope we can do with you, because I think it's really exciting to watch other entrepreneurs talk about their business. And then see what they do, and then follow up with them and see, where are you at? What's going on? So, me and John talked here before, and this is part 1 of, we don't know how many yet, but I think it's gonna be a great story for both of us to follow and just talk about our companies and see where we go. So hopefully we can keep following along those footsteps in that whole side of things. So you mentioned one of the other predominant players. When I think used trucks, the first thing I think is truck paper. I worked in truck dealerships. We ran ads in truck paper every week. We maybe or maybe not updated on the website of truckpaper.com. But yours is different than that, right? So can you explain a little bit how TTT is a little bit different than what's going on in the industry here today?
Yeah. So we built it to the platform to be a transaction site, so that, and really built from the buyer persona and buyer behaviors to empower buyers, specifically owner-operators, small fleet operators, to compete with the bigs, right? That were the bigger companies that were better resourced, had more money, had more time, right? So we wanted to build our suite of services for the buyer coming in to really put them on equal playing ground. We are not a listing site, although we are and will list thousands of units. We are not just a listing site. We are a transaction site. We're a seller will self-list, or we can help them list the units. And then a buyer comes in on the other side of the two-sided marketplace and makes an offer right then and there. It's not an auction site. You would call it, has been called auction alternative. And I think that's where our place in the market is that we're really truly built for the win-win.
So one of the things that you've really focused on and knew it was going to be a problem to begin with was creating confidence in the buyer.
Yeah.
They had to have confidence that they had a good truck and they're going to be taken care of and get financing.
Yeah.
And you alluded to a little bit earlier when you mentioned your stack partners.
Yeah.
So you want to go a little bit in depth on what a stack partner is and how that benefits the buyer and who you've partnered with?
Sure. So again, I think if there's being an old guy that starts a business later, is that you identify your weaknesses from both a persona, my personal, but also the business, right? So we wanted to just not launch truck, tractor, trailer as a total solution, as a single brand. We wanted to pick partners, leaders in each of the disciplines. For example, for our truck inspections and certification process, it's TA, Truck Service, and very well-known, trusted brand to owner-operators and also small fleets and carriers. And they also, TA operates the travel centers of America. Yep. So on the warranty side, we have a terrific partner in National Truck Protection, Premium 2000, which came together as one company, being led by Wade Bontrager and his team and Mike Spillman, and they do a terrific job of providing warranties on certified assets. So our asset that a buyer comes in will get inspected, in some cases certified by TA, the asset, with a warranty and a finance part package provided by Taycor Finance, Michael Hong, Vu Win, and Eric Foster in Los Angeles. That's where Taycor is based. And they provide financing options. And also, people are always saying, hey, where's your supply coming from? We have a terrific partner in Ethan Nadolson and his team from SOAR, Sold on Arrival, SOAR. Yep. And Ethan's been in this business his entire life. I think he says he started driving a truck when he was 13. Yeah. I believe it. And he has a terrific a platform for managing inventory. And and aside from that skill set, Ethan is just brings that tribal knowledge and a voice of reason, a voice of the customer to our team, the TTT team. And of course, Diesel Laptops at some point will be a trusted, valued stack partner of ours.
Yeah. So, I think the things that impressed me, so I went on there and I wasn't expecting it, but I saw it. They actually had videos. There was videos of some of the used trucks on your website actually being moved around and showing people they function. So you guys are focusing on creating a high quality listing that really gives confidence to the buyer. Well,
at some future state, not today, but at some future state, all of the assets will come with video. As this becomes the best camera and video.
It's in everyone's pocket.
It's in everyone's pocket. And with 5G coming online, I think, it's a powerful tool. And also our thinking, we're talking earlier that, it's going to be a buy-sell tool. So people will be buying and selling used trucks, tractors, and trailers on their phone, their smart device, or from any place at any time on the planet. So it's a false choice to think that I, as an owner-operator, I can't be shopping from my cab or from Popeye's Fried Chicken for my next truck. I don't have to be there if I have all the information I need that's validated by trusted resources like TA, by NTP.
So, I told you the story earlier about I needed to buy a car for my wife, right? Yeah. So I tried going to a couple local car dealerships. Yeah. It was horrible. Yeah. Kind of high pressury salespeople there. They didn't have quite what I wanted. Just hold on a minute, let me go find this. And they're trying to, I feel like I was sucked into there for about an hour and didn't really get anything accomplished. So I went home and I found Carvana. Yeah. And literally I never had to talk to anybody. With a couple of clicks of my mouse, I was buying a car and having it delivered. And that scares the bejesus out of a lot of people when I told some people I did that. Yeah. But for me, I was like, this is great. I bought it. It shows up at my doorstep, and I don't have to deal with any of the hoopla that goes around in a car dealership. And it sounds like you're doing a very similar thing with the heavy truck world, which has been needed for a long time, I feel.
Well, it's, we're out there. I get notes all the time, comments all the time, people in conversation, they find me and they say, hey, you're the Carvana of the commercial truck space. Not quite, not yet. But I think the long-term vision is that, and I think the solution for the market is a hybrid, on the ground, in the cloud type of solution. I think that's where we will ultimately end up. I think we mentioned earlier who we bolt onto or tuck into. I think it will be a partner that has a on-the-ground solution and that are looking for a world-class digital platform that can help accelerate growth.
So why do you think these traditional print magazines that are out there, and then we mentioned one, there's others that are out there, how are those guys making it? Like, are people really still looking at newspaper ads to buy a used truck? I mean, those things are weeks old by the time they get them, and I just don't get it.
Well, I think that is based on demographic. I would say the old timers like me are probably looking at that magazine. We like looking at the pictures of trucks. It's a form of habit, right? However, a good example. I had subscribed to New York Times forever and loved picking up that paper. I miss picking up that paper, but I canceled that subscription a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Where do I get my news today?
Yep.
Twitter.
Yep. Social media.
Twitter.
Yep.
Not social media, Twitter, right? So I'm going to go there and I get the New York Times articles for free, right? And there's no stockpiling. So I guess I'm reducing the carbon footprint by just,
Yeah, I mean, it takes a while for an industry or people to shift their habits. That's usually the hardest thing when you're introducing something new. I know we experience here, for example, our truck parts cross platform. We built one that was better than our competitors and it was free. Theirs was paid. And people are still looking at us like, well, why would I use that? I'm like, well, it's free and it's better. And they're like, but I pay for this. I'm like, okay, we need to reboot here and rethink our marketing approach in this whole thing.
So I guess with TTT, it's we like to internally we say it's cheaper, better, faster. Let's make sure it's cheaper, more affordable. It's faster to use, so speed's really important, and that goes. Testament to our development team headed by Dimitri Grinberg and Dynamo Development. I didn't code myself, but it's fast, right? Especially when you start to incorporate pictures and video, and I think that's part of the barrier today to this moving completely online, and it's going to. I mean, if you look at what Carvana is doing, a marvelous job. Vroom, a competitor to theirs, and I would say also give some credit to Elon Musk and Tesla. He sold close to 400,000 of those Cybertrucks online.
Yeah,
he has 0 salespeople. He sold 400,000 within like 6 months. Yeah, right. How many test drives to result in those 400,000 sales?
I would guess 0 since they don't actually have any
zeros, right?
Available.
Yeah, but they bought them online, right?
Yeah.
So I think you and I were talking earlier with habits and behaviors and the blending, right? We're talking about work-life balance with family and being an entrepreneur. Yeah. But really, if you look at the owner-operators and small fleet operators, they're entrepreneurs, right? So they're balancing the same thing. They're blending. So we believe, the hypotheses I guess we're trying to test is, will people bring their persona, their personal buying behaviors to their business life? We think so. So for example, the same people that are buying on Carvana today may have bought new before, or had bought used, of course, traditional legacy. Yep. But today, once they make that leap of faith and they go to buy online, it's going to be the same as ordering Uber for the first time or Lyft. Yep. Remember that?
It's weird the first time. You're kind of like, how's this work? Are they going to show up?
Well, they show up, and the car did show up. I pressed the button. I didn't believe my kids, and my boys Tate and Spencer said, "Yeah, you just press the button and magically it came." Yeah. I was surprised. I did it again. It came again, and now no knock on the rental car business, but I probably use Uber 90% of the time now when I travel.
I'm there too, and it's crazy how quick it went from don't get in cars with strangers to hail a perfect stranger to come pick you up with an app.
And then interview them.
Yeah, and interview them.
Because they are, Uber drivers are a great economic resource. Research.
You do that. You mentioned this earlier offline. I do the same thing too. And when I get an Uber, I'm like, so how long have you been doing this for? What kind of money you make? How many hours you work in? I'm kind of curious to see, is this gig economy and this new way of doing things working? And does it work or does it not work?
Yeah. So my test is research question. What do you like most? What don't you like? Right. And what they love most is that they're an entrepreneur. They're 1099. They have the gig economy. They all seem to have daytime jobs that are way better than being an Uber driver. Kudos to them. I've also met a lot of retired people that were I've met a doctor. I had this driver in Indiana one time for the Work Truck Show, probably.
Yeah.
And he was telling me he was a doctor in a prior life, but he loves socializing 1 or 2 days a week. He takes Uber, goes out, and he's an entrepreneur. What they don't like, I think, is some of the money issues, not making as much as they would like to, and the investment in the asset. Here's the other thing. Do you know where the Uber driver gets their used cars?
Carvana. Do they really?
They have it. Carvana has a program. So for the Uber drivers, and maybe for Lyft too. So kudos to Ernie Garcia, the CEO of Carvana.
It's crazy how all these new technologies and new things kind of start working together and merging each other, and partnerships start to form, and strategic relationships. So it's really crazy. Same thing I've seen with my business. Same thing you've been talking about with your business. You're finding strategic partners that are out there and helping you grow your business and everything. So I know I said this would be like a 1-part series. We kind of talked about what TTT is right now, everything going on. Any things you want to tell the listeners or the watchers here on YouTube on where you think you're going to be in the next 6 months, 3 months, a year, kind of where you want to go with this thing?
Well, I will say this: we have a lot of irons in the fire. We have things going on that I'm not at liberty to discuss, right? So in 3 months, 6 months, when I come back, 3 months, let's make it every 3 months. I'll come back and give you updates. I guess now I will leave you with this. It's not if the buyers of used trucks, tractors, and trailers buy online. It's when they start to do it. I think that's the question. We just don't know when it reaches critical mass. But I do agree with you that it was like overnight that people stopped using yellow car or black car and then going to Uber. I think it was like overnight that magically Blockbuster disappeared and Netflix, everything's streaming today. Overnight that you're on YouTube now, and now YouTube's a channel. I get my traditional broadcasting from YouTube channel today. So when did all that happen? Like magic, right? So when will owner-operators and small fleets begin to buy their next used truck, tractor, trailer online? I think it's going to be sooner than later. Yeah,
I will agree with that too. So we see certain things like our diagnostic tool. When we first started selling that thing, we were ecstatic if we could sell 20 a month. Like that was the number. And now we're disappointed if we only sell 20 a day. And we look at it, we're like, were all these customers here 4 years ago and we just didn't realize it? Or is the market perception and education changed? And I think it's more the education and the market's changed to understand what it is and do those things. So I can see the same thing happening with online used truck purchasing. People just need to see it and try it once. And then they find out, wow, that actually worked. I got a great quality truck at a fair price, and I didn't have to worry about extended warranties and insurance and financing. They have partners that help me take care of all those things. And you basically make it an easy experience for somebody. They tend to tell people about it, and they tend to come back.
Well, thank you. And it's in the community too. So we're trying to serve a defined community, right? And I think that's so important. And one of the things that differentiates TTT from some of the other really good services out there is that we're community-based. We're invested in the community. But also I want to go back to my walk around today, this tour of diesel. I was so impressed. Number one, you grew this to 145 employees from a base of a couple, right? In just a few years. That's amazing. But also one of the things that I noticed culturally is the appetite and a mindset for growth. And I'm a big believer in that, is that you have to be focused on digital, marketing, the social aspect, which we're doing today. You're doing a masterful job there, but also you and your team in today's market has to have a growth mindset. And that was one of the things that I was impressed with today was the camaraderie and the commitment to growth.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, appreciate that. Just to echo that sentiment, we have Jamie Irvine here today, and Jamie is coming to us. He does this heavy duty parts podcast show, heavy duty parts report podcast show. He just started working for us. He quit his full-time job to come. We're a client of his. He's got his own company, but he's really helping us sell these parts platforms. And he echoed the exact same sentiment I've been saying for years, which was basically along the lines of, everybody in our industry is so stuck in the old ways and nothing ever seems to change, although change is happening all around. And he goes, and people don't want to accept it. He goes, then I come here and I'm here for a day. And you guys are the ones pushing you're on the opposite end of the spectrum, trying to make all this change happen and make the world a better place. And you're really doing the same thing for the used truck side.
Well, let's face it. If we listened to everyone who said that what we were doing was impossible, we wouldn't have taken the action. We went against the grain, right? We went against not the negative, but the negative bias, I should say, that, that'll never work. And smart people, too, are telling us, no one will, smart people, professional people, successful people are telling us that what you're doing is never going to work. Well, you can't listen to that. You have to trust your own judgment. And also your own inner circle of 5. You're only as good as the top 5 people you surround yourself with. And I was impressed with your top 5. In fact, I met like your top 20 today. So that was great.
Well, no, I really appreciate that. And again, I think this is a great first episode. Get to know you a little bit. I'm really looking forward to talking to you in 3-4 months from now.
Yeah.
Seeing where you guys are at, seeing how everything's transcribed and everything's moving forward. I think it'll be a great story to follow here as people are listening to the podcast and watching the YouTube videos and following your website. And I know obviously you're on Twitter. Do you want to throw out your Twitter handle there at all?
It's at TTT Exchange.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. And you're all over LinkedIn as well?
All over LinkedIn. Yeah. Yep. Send me an invite as long as you have 200, 300 mutuals. I'll accept. And no disrespect. I just have to limit the amount. And I will. One thing we talked about is the international footprint is amazing.
Yeah.
We like to think that the Americans, U.S., we created the trucking market. I think that's true to some degree. We have respect as market leaders, but there's an amazing European community there. African community as they build out Africa, South America, and of course, Asia is just remarkable growth.
Yeah, we see India being huge now. They just introduced their low sulfur diesel fuel and emission laws are becoming into effect there. China the same way. The fact is there's more people in China and India than there's in the U.S. So the world's a big place when you start building products that can scale to other countries, such as what you guys have.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So it becomes a really big thing pretty quick if you can just figure out that magic formula that really drives traffic to your website and users engage with it.
Awesome.
So, John, really appreciate you having on the show. This has been John Gilley with TruckTractorTrailer.com, the founder and CEO. Again, great having you on the show. For everybody else, thank you for listening to this episode of the DL. We will have some follow-up episodes. You heard him here. He promised it.
Yes.
So we'll definitely get him back on the show, and we'll keep following this journey. So, again, thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Have a great day, and we'll listen to you again and hear from you again next time.
Thank you.